Hello everyone, today is 7th of April, Sunday, so I hope you'll have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Now it's 20 past 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day, in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with a short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media and military channels during the previous 24 hours and including during the previous nighttime or early hours this morning, Russian armed forces continue missile and drone strikes on military and logistics infrastructure of Kiev regime, and as a result energo facilities, also munition depots, oil, fuel depots, and points of concentration of military equipment and the manpower of Kiev regime was targeted quite successfully. And let me show you this video. By the way, this is a video that I shared on my Telegram channel yesterday. For example, on this video, you can see multi-launch rocket system on this corner on the this is it, by the way. You can see two multiple launch systems right next to residential areas, by the way, and then precise strike from Russian armed forces, and both these MLRS systems were destroyed. And according to some reports that I see, this happened in Kharkov area, and both these MLRS systems were used by Kiev regime to strike towards Belgorod. So as you can see, there is a shopping mall, I guess, or some sort of warehouse not far away, some residential areas, and that's how Kiev regime is operating. They are putting their MLRS systems in residential areas and hiding behind civilians. But well, Russian armed forces had enough precision guided weapon systems to conduct this type of strikes, and in this particular case both MLRS systems were destroyed, and the process will continue. By the way, Russian armed forces will hunt down Ukrainian terrorists everywhere. They cannot hide. That's it. And well, when it comes to line of contact, main hotspot is of course Chisov Yar. And well, according to reports from Russian military channels, as a result of recent offensive operations in direction of Canal district of Chisov Yar, which is located on the eastern part of waterway, this channel here that goes, let's say, in between Chisov Yar and the Bakhmut, Russian armed forces established control over the most eastern outskirts of this Canal district, and several channels are reporting that entire this square here is under Russian control now. So battle for Chisov Yar definitely has begun, and also simultaneously Russian armed forces established control over the significant part of this forestry on the eastern northern part of this Canal district, and several sources are reporting that Russian units are already inside this Dachi area. This Dachi area, if we zoom in, you can see that this is a small housing. By the way, this is Dachi. Summer homes, one may say, with some gardens, small gardens, and that kind of stuff. It's a traditional way of urbanization in former Soviet Union, and almost every town has a Dachi area. And well, as I predicted in my previous updates, Russian armed forces are conducting operations towards Dachi, establish control over the several streets, and probably when it comes to assault on this Canal district, probably it will happen from the northern side. Initially, Russian forces will establish control over this industrial area, and then probably we will see offensive in direction of this high-rise apartment buildings. Of course, entire this area is empty from civilians. Civilians have moved out, and Kiev regime forces try as much as they could to create some stronghold, some capable stronghold not just in Canal district, but inside the Chisovyar as well, central parts of Chisovyar. And several experts are reporting that according to their information, central parts, buildings in the central parts of Chisovyar are basically all mined. And probably once Kiev regime forces will start withdrawing from Chisovyar, and it will of course happen, to only a matter of time, most likely they will try to blow up those buildings when Russian forces will approach. But of course, Russian side knows about this tactic of Kiev regime forces. We see that in Bakhmut, for example, in Avdiivka, there was attempts to do something like that, but operation was so fast in Avdiivka that Kiev regime forces, in confusion, had no time to act more or less in an organized manner. They was running away like Olympic runners. So that's it, really. That's it. When it comes to some other directions, South Donetsk sector, Novomikhailivka is still disputed between the sides. In Avdiivka direction, Russian armed forces are pushing towards Umanskaya, and we still don't have official confirmation from Russian Defense Ministry that Berdichi and Semyonovka are under full Russian control, and therefore I assume these two settlements still are disputed, although the initiative is in Russian hands all along the front line. And despite many local-scale counteroffensives, Kiev regime forces are unable to regain initiative on any of their directions. Russian forces increasing pressure on Seversk direction also, and more and more reports are coming in about destruction of a significant number of Ukrainian units in Belogorovka area. According to some channels, entire brigade of Kiev regime forces lost its battle capabilities during the clashes in Belogorovka and were withdrawn from this area. And also Terny, by the way, this village of Terny, which is a part of Kupiansk sector of the front line. We had reports previously that Russian forces were inside the settlement on the southern part of Terny. Several channels reported about it. Then Kiev regime forces tried to conduct some counteroffensive, and right now difficult to say what is going on in this village. Me personally, I don't even understand why Russian forces would try to conduct offensives towards Terny. This is, I mean, if you take a look at these two settlements, Yampolovka, Terny, I mean, they are so ideal to create some traps for Kiev regime forces. And I will, if it was up to me, I will definitely use those settlements as traps and force Kiev regime to send more and more reinforcements, and I will just take out those reinforcements one by one. And that's what Russian forces were doing for quite a while, but maybe there are some other plans now in the place, and Russian forces trying to establish control over these settlements. Or maybe this reckoning force operation, by the way, was exactly the attempt to provoke Kiev, force Kiev to send more reinforcements towards Terny, Yampolovka direction, so that more Ukrainian units will be demilitarized. That's also a possibility. But in any case, initiative is in Russian hands, not just in Terny area, but in, as I said, all along the front line. Kiev regime forces have no chance nowhere and will never have any chances. For them, this battle is over, and sooner Ukrainian military personnel and officers will realize this, better for them, because they could lay down arms and surrender and save their lives. That will be best decision of their lives, that's for sure. But anyway, let's continue. I reminded you, friends, that if you want to learn some more about these local scale skirmishes, reckoning force operations, and other developments on the line of contact, there are military channels that are providing great volume of information on that. I will continue with some additional news. Vzglyad newspaper is reporting about Russian strikes in military port area of the Nikolaev. As I said, the Russian armed forces are on regular basis conducting drone and missile strikes on military and logistics infrastructure of Kiev regime, and during the previous wave of strikes, Nikolaev military port was targeted. RT is also reporting that Chancellor of Austria made comments on Ukrainian topics and called for talks between Russia and Ukraine simultaneously. Although this individual, Karl Neymer, stated that the West should still continue to support Kiev. I mean, come on, man. Are you for peace or are you for war? If you are calling for peace and if you are calling for talk, then why you are saying that West should continue to support Kiev? Really? West should continue to support those terrorists and mass murderers and neo-Nazis? Okay, then. Okay, then you cannot be taken seriously, Chancellor of Austria, because you have no balls to say directly what you mean without bringing in that, you know, West should continue to support Kiev. Why? Why? Cowards, man. RT is reporting that a Ukraine skeptic politician wins a presidential election. Peter Pellegrini was elected to serve as next president of Slovakia on Saturday, beating ex-foreign minister Ivan Korsok. Pellegrini is a close ally of Prime Minister Robert Fico, who is a staunch opponent of sending weapons to Kiev regime, and I guess Prime Minister of Slovakia don't want to send the military personnel also to Kiev regime, because it will only further escalate this conflict. And whoever is saying, by the way, that they want for you know, peace to prevail, they want some peace talks and stuff, just remember, if same time they are saying that but West should continue to support Kiev, they are fake. They all are fake people. Those statements cannot be taken seriously, because this conflict will end long time ago, in March, April 2022, if Western ruling class did not intervene and did not force Zelensky and his criminal associates to refuse to sign agreement with Russia. We should always keep in mind that this conflict prolonged this long only because of the involvement of Western ruling class. And if anyone is to blame, of course, it's Zelensky and his criminal associates and their Western masters. That's it. It's a West that is waging this proxy war against Russia. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that former Russian president and deputy chairman of Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, made a statement about recent terrorist attack on Crocus City Hall on the outskirts of Moscow, and he said that all the evidence are pointing out that Kiev regime was involved in this terrorist attack, high-ranking officials in Kiev. And Dmitry Medvedev, being deputy chairman of the Security Council, of course, has a clearance to know, to see all the classified information that investigative committee investigation FSB has on this matter, and therefore I believe statement of Medvedev is correct. He has good knowledge of the matter, and every reason, factual evidence is to claim that Kiev regime officials were involved in this conflict. It will take a couple of more days, maybe a week, and probably we will hear official statements from investigative committee, from Russia's FSB security service, with the final conclusions about this terrorist attack, and if they will officially blame Kiev regime on this terrorist attack, then of course most likely Moscow will take some actions based on these results of this investigation. But lately we see many high-ranking Russian officials, including from security services, that are pointing out at the Kiev regime. So I guess they have every reason, based on factual evidences, to do so. Also, by the way, Vzгляд newspaper is reporting that Ukrainian government, so-called government, that illegitimate so-called president of Ukraine, illegitimate Zelensky, is and his associates are now demanding from EU member states to shut down skies of the European Union for all the planes that are carrying Russian citizens. Okay, there's some news, by the way, that coming in from Ukraine, from the West, that really hard to comment seriously, and this is one of those cases. So I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if in upcoming days or weeks, EU will really shut down its skies for all the planes from avia companies of the worldwide that are using EU airspace for transit flights towards Russia or from Russia. I remind you that for Russian avia companies, EU airspace is closed for a long time, and Russia responded in the same way. Russia closed its airspace for hostile countries. But there are some other countries, avia companies from other countries that were using Russian airspace as EU airspace to conduct passenger flights. And well, Kiev is demanding now those companies to be banned from EU airspace. Okay, and probably Brussels will do something like that, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is fascism, by the way. This is pure fascism. When European policies are directed against Russians, ordinary Russians. They want to hurt Russians. And all those sanctions, by the way, that were imposed on Russia, these thousands and thousands, who do you think they want to harm? Of course they want to harm Russians, ordinary Russians, because they were hoping that people will get angry in Russia and the situation will destabilize and Western ruling class will manage to conduct some regime change, but it's not happening, by the way. If anything, Russian society is much more united now than before special military operation, and because before all those sanctions have been imposed on Russia and pressure. But anyway, let's continue. As I said quite a few times before, Western ruling class, they have no idea who we are. They don't understand us. And therefore, they will lose. They will always lose every time. They have no chance. And dear friends, yesterday under some comments I saw, in the comment section I saw comments from a number of people. They were critical of me. Can you imagine that? They were critical of me because yesterday, while commenting on this constant escalation towards Russia from France, this country, that country, even Finland, by the way, is now considering to deploy its troops into Ukraine. And if you remember, I said, you know what, I mean, if you want that much to provoke direct conflict with us, then, I mean, what we can do, I mean, we are here. It's you that provoking this conflict, isn't it? Then, I mean, if you want that much, then, okay, just do it then. And some individuals, probably trolls, try to turn situation around if it's me personally or Russia is escalating. How crazy is that? If it's us that want this conflict to further escalate, when it's exactly the opposite. From Moscow, all you hear is calls for the escalation. Warnings after warnings after warnings towards Western ruling class, but unfortunately, they are not listening. They are unable to listen or to learn, and therefore they are constantly escalating. It's a French government that says that they're going to deploy troops into Ukraine to fight Russia, to deter Russia. It's not Russia that says we're going to send troops into France, isn't it? And when it comes to Finland, what Russia done against Finland? I mean, what? Now, by the way, in recent decades, there was, of course, a war between Soviet Union and Finland before First World War, before Second World War, and during the Second World War, Finland were in support of Nazi Germany. And well, Finland now also in support of Nazis. Okay. I guess this is kind of new tradition for Finland, to be in support of Nazis. And by the way, I remind you that France also was in support of Nazis. There was a Vichy government in France, isn't it? And French did not really kill themselves by fighting Nazis. Some did, some partisan movement did operate, and by the way, some French pilots were operating with Soviet planes from Soviet Union and fighting Nazis. Decent people, undoubtedly, but we should always keep in mind that tens of thousands of French nationals joined German SS divisions and were fighting against us during the Great Patriotic War or Second World War. And by the way, almost every single country in Europe were fighting nationals of almost every single country, and in some cases even countries themselves were fighting alongside Nazi Germany against us. And this is history, by the way. And if you by chance don't know, Romania, for example, was ally of Nazi Germany. Hungary was ally of Nazi Germany. Italy obviously was ally of Nazi Germany. There was divisions, Nazi divisions, at least 2, 3, sometimes even more. Nazi divisions, SS divisions were created in Baltic states, in Scandinavian states, in France, by the way. Croatia, by the way. What Croatia had to do with this war? But Croatia was fighting alongside Nazi Germany, by the way, which is, you know. So this is not the first time when almost entire Europe, almost, by the way, entire Europe is trying to conquer and destroy us. But they failed previously, and they will fail now also. That's all I'm saying. We don't want this war to escalate. We just don't want it. But if Western ruling class provoking this conflict, I mean, we're not going to run away. That's all I'm saying. We are here and we're going to stand here. And whoever will be sent to fight us will die. That's all. But when it comes to a general approach to this conflict, I mean, how else? I mean, Moscow was so clear constantly this time, and it is clear now, by the way, that this conflict should de-escalate. West should stop pouring in weapons and money, and should pay more attention to diplomatic means. But they are just not listening, by the way. Western ruling class is unwilling to listen. And somehow people that are under this influence of this Western crazy propaganda are managing to blame Russia for this. West escalates and somehow Russia is guilty. Really? Come on, man. We should have always maintained some level of objectivity, isn't it? It's NATO that constantly, for decades, by the way, were pushing closer and closer towards Russia, its military installations. And NATO is a not humanitarian organization, it's a military alliance, and not defensive one, by the way, as they want to proclaim Western ruling elites. It's an extremely aggressive military alliance, and if you don't believe me, ask Yugoslavia, but ask Serbs, and ask Libyans, by the way. Ask citizens in Afghanistan how defensive NATO is. And they wanted to establish NATO bases now in Ukraine, and they were they supported this, they basically orchestrated this armed coup in 2014, established some Nazi regime in Kiev, and by so provoked this civil war in the eastern parts of Ukraine. And they were planning to further escalate. And what should Russia do? Of course, at some point, Moscow will have no other options but to react, and that's exactly what is happening, and special military operation will definitely achieve all its goals. There can be no doubts about it. Okay, let's continue. RT is reporting that US Treasury issues warnings to China. Okay, US leadership does what they always do, try to threaten everybody. all around the world. So U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has threatened Chinese companies with consequences if they supply parts or equipment to the Russian military. During a multi-day trip to Beijing, Yellen also accused China of saturating global markets with cheap goods. Well, I don't know why China even allowed this individual to enter China. I mean, what is the point, really? Who the hell is she, man, to go in Beijing and then lecture government there? I mean, that was a big mistake in my opinion, but it's Chinese business. I don't know, but at this point, this is clownish, by the way. I mean, US high-ranking officials, if they think they are on top of the world, they are not. And this individual, this head of US Treasury, all the other high-ranking officials in the US, I mean, they look clownish. That's all I want to say, man. Unfortunately, for time being, they will maintain some level of influence over the world, especially because of the monopoly of the Western financial and banking system right now that exists, and of course that exactly because of this monopoly, U.S. leadership or leadership of EU and UK are threatening, are feeling that they are in a position to threaten everybody in this world with the sanctions. But just mark my words, by the way, give it a couple of years, and the BRICS countries will come up with alternative financial and banking system. It's inevitable, and that will be it. That will be it. If now some companies worldwide are still acting cautiously, and at least first-tier businesses are acting cautiously because they are afraid of these secondary sanctions. Once BRICS will build up this alternative financial and banking system, once BRICS will come up with its own world reserve currency, well, Western dominance will be done, finished, by the way. And we may hear, I hope we will hear some information about development of alternative financial and banking system during the already this year. Maybe even during the Kazan summit of BRICS, which will take in place in October, I believe, in capital of Tatarstan Autonomous Republic of Russian Federation, in Kazan. Wonderful city, by the way. If you ever will visit Russia, I strongly recommend to visit Kazan also. Wonderful place. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that, well, Peskov was asked about Olympic Games, what Moscow's position is about Russian sportsmen. Should they participate in Olympics? Should they stay home, ignore Olympics? So-called Olympics, by the way. I cannot call that extremely politicized event Olympic Games, extremely politicized and ideologized event. And well, Peskov commented and said basically quite obvious stuff, that it's up to individual athletes to decide, do they want to participate in this event, so-called Olympics, or not. Moscow in no case will intervene, because we should always keep in mind, by the way, some people, yes, may criticize athletes for participating in these games without national team, as a separate sportsman under neutral flag. But me personally, I share my opinion previously, and I will say exactly the same. I cannot criticize them because, dear friends, those athletes put entire their life into these sports. They were training hard. Can you imagine how hard they were training, that they are now in position of being top 5, maybe top 10 athletes in this world, among 7 billion, by the way, or how many of us on this planet. They train so hard, by the way, and it's only like during the sporting career, it's only once or twice that they may be on top level when they will participate in Olympics, and that's it, isn't it? And therefore, who am I to criticize those sportsmen? By the way, they put so much effort, so much energy and time to become best, and of course, if they want to, they have to participate in Olympics, man. Unfortunately, this system, Olympics games, are politicized and ideologized. But those sportsmen, if they are on that level that they are able to participate, then they should. It's up to them, but I don't think it's fair to criticize them if they will. That's my opinion, and I guess the very same opinion has Kremlin, by the way. That it's up to sportsmen, and I don't think it's fair to criticize them, and it's not. And RIA Novosti is reporting, and I will end this hopefully short update with this news, that Russian Soyuz MS-24 landing spacecraft descended yesterday in Kazakhstan, and on board of this craft was 3 astronauts or 3 cosmonauts, Belarusian, by the way, Belarusian cosmonaut, Russian and US cosmonaut. And well, I wanted to share with you this information just to highlight that at least there is some spheres still, by the way, still there is some spheres where Russian and Western side is cooperating in and space and scientific research, at least on some level, still that place where people are cooperating, communicating without hostility and so on, without hostility, anonymity, or there is a word, isn't it, that indicates that groups are treating each other as enemies. So without that negativity, people are still cooperating, which is great, by the way, which is great. And sometime in the future, if Western ruling elites will not provoke global nuclear exchange and global destruction, then sometime in the future, when elites in the West will become more adequate, in 20, 30, 40 years, I guess relationships between Russia and Western states will start improve at least little bit, and will reach working level, and therefore any means of communication that is possible to maintain between Russia and the West should be maintained, in my opinion. And well, that's what scientists are doing, so applause to them. And this is it for now. Quite short update, definitely quite short update, and I hope you will find this video informative, interesting, useful, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. Yesterday, dear friends, even though yesterday's video has like 1100 likes, unfortunately we were unable, and quite a number of comments, by the way, unfortunately we were unable to influence algorithm, but maybe we will manage to do so today, because I guess that's how algorithms are working. After certain number of likes and comments, algorithm will probably start showing videos in recommendations. So if you can, please click that like button. Let's try again, and leave some commentary just about anything, by the way, any topic, and for very same reason, if you can, please share links to my videos or my channels with your friends on any of the platforms that you are actively using. And finally, if you think this channel is interesting, useful, informative, and deserves to exist, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page, on which, by the way, I have some extra content on regular basis, on weekly basis, some news updates, some non-political programs, and I will only continue to increase more content, to create more content for Patreon to make this page even more interesting. So yes, you can subscribe to it. All the links, by the way, to PayPal, Boosty, Patreon under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.